Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, everybody. This is Manny's Writing Speakeasy, starring, of course, Manny Cartagena. Now, in order to open up this show, I figure I should explain myself of who I am and what it is that I do. I've been a poet now in and around the Reading, PA area for about 10 years. I've been writing, getting better, and doing what I can to strive for the best that I can do in my field. I've also been writing a bunch of short stories, prose, a little bit of fiction on the side too as well, and I have performed in various places all over PA. So that's what I've been doing lately for the last, few years or so. And I wanted to do this show on here as to give people who maybe can't be to the, poetry recitals or whatever every week, or maybe can't get to different places because they just can't go anywhere, and give them an excerpt at least of what it is that I like to do and what I am about, because I feel as though I have a voice that should be heard. I know that sounds rather selfish or whatnot, but it is what it is. What I will do on this show is basically recite a few of the pieces that I have each week and give an insight as to how those poems and other poems that I write come about, and I'll go into deeper meanings of not just the poems, but life itself and my opinions on life. With that being said, the first introduction of the poem that I have here coming up, this one is called Blackfinger's Pearly Nights. And anyone who's ever sat alone home on a Friday night, nothing to do, goes on the computer, you know what this song is about. You know what I'm talking about. I don't really have to explain much further. So this one, Blackfinger's Pearly Nights. Dirty fingernails, soiled pits and butts, taste of the smell. I am saying, ooh, yeah, hit me right there. Loss of sense, tailored necklace, Japanese eyes. I'm like, you did it, or thank you. Incandescent skin tones, blushed faces, toned wrists, scarred retinas, bleak dreams, forested minds and crotches. I said I had fun. Wait for it. Wait for it. But whether it's the living room computer seat or the bathroom toilet, whether I'm languishingly lonely or just eye-hooking bored, they never talk back. Never. Fucking never. Blackfinger's Pearly Night. That was the first piece for you people all out there who are either listening now or will listen to this. Again, as I had mentioned, it's not very hard to figure out what that poem's about. A lot of the pieces that I'm doing tonight will be about aloneness pretty much, because I'm sort of feeling in that place right now, just being alone. And I'll expound on that more after this next piece. This one's called, aptly titled, Alone. And I hope you all enjoy this. There's going to be a piece of an audio file that I uploaded by Frederic Chopin, one of his Nocturnes, to accompany this piece. I hope you all enjoy. This one is called Alone. This is not a shoot. This is not a farce. I don't want to look at the camera. I am too ashamed at myself. You're gonna hear me speak with the aura of the darkness that runs through me. Tumblers on rapid wet, sheen of the clean, deed accomplished, smile, or at least the plastered on one. Excavate all sense of reality, excoriate all the things that make me well, accentuate the darkness that lives inside of me. I do. I am married to all this. It appears. It feels, well, like a slow, paceful shock by any use. Or the shimmying rush of venom from a snake bite, topping the blood before you burst. I am married to my insecurities. A laughable thought, though, that the seeds of discontent and disapproval of oneself had disappeared. With drinks from lost emotions, towed with the sea of numbness, ignorance set in. I didn't know they didn't want me. I didn't know I didn't fit in anywhere. Borders of space and disregard of any deep track of feel. They slowly drained out of my life. Placement buried now in non-existence. Today, those nightmares still haunt my dreams as the few friends left wander and fall apart. I am left to wonder with this small, dark cloud I am floating on, adrift from any mess. Will it ever welcome any guest? Will it? That one was called Alone. And as I recently mentioned right before the poem, I must expound further on what I mean by being alone, because when people hear the word alone, they automatically depict black and white shades of what it means to be alone. Either you're completely, what is the word I'm looking for? Just completely immersed in seclusion, away from all existence, or you're within the existence. But I feel as though there's also a gray shade of aloneness where you can be around many people, but you still feel alone. And that's kind of what I've felt like for the last few years. But lately I've had some personal, I don't want to say trauma. I could definitely not describe them as tragedies. It definitely isn't that horrendous. But I would say a bit of personal upheaval. I think it all goes back to just growing up and me being 24 right now. I'm in a transitional period, definitely. I'd recently lost an occupation of mine last August, and all the friends from there are gone, and the friends that I've grown up with have seemed to wane in their interest in my life as well. And it's almost like I feel as if I'm just floating away on like a raft somewhere, and everybody's watching me float away, and they're just watching and not doing anything about it. That's kind of what I feel like right now. And, well, that's what that poem was meant to express. Just really feeling alone despite being in a sea of people. And anybody can say what they want about, you know, people have it worse or whatever, but everybody has their own situation. Everybody has their own fight. So I would never denigrate anyone else for how they feel unless I feel as though they're doing it to themselves. And part of the reason I wanted to put that sort of emotion into a poem is because I felt like I was partially doing it to myself, and I just had to get these feelings out, and I feel as though I have. But the friends thing, I guess you could call it a paradigm in a way, will lead into my next poem, which I'm going to read in a minute. And that's also something that's been troubling me a little bit, and I guess I'm just learning to deal with everything, and that's what I try and relate in my poems, and that's what most of them are about, which I'm sure that's what a lot of people probably write about, and I understand what they do and why they write what they write. As previously mentioned, the next poem here is called Everyone I Know. And as I said, it's about certain friends coming and going, and the people that I know maybe not being who I thought they were, and maybe, well, I'll explain it further after I read the poem. But here we go. This one's called Everyone I Know. Everyone I know has no friends. Everyone I know has tall arms and strong hands. Everyone I know has xenophobia. Everyone I know has agoraphobia. Everyone I know listens to Screamo, a genre specifically created so neurotic, self-pitying assholes can bitch about how they hate themselves or how the pretty girl didn't like them over a loud metal band. Well, hell, everyone I know hates themselves. Everyone I know hates the world. Everyone I know, I don't know. Voices, faces, stare back at me yelling, for I am looking them in the mirror. Reflection pays, and I paid the ultimate price. Truth. Everyone I know, I am. And again, that one is called Everyone I Know. I wrote that one, as I said before, about the friend paradigm to some extent, because when you grow up, you have friends who you went through with in high school and stuff, and you had a lot of things that have happened. But when you grow up, it's almost as if everyone seems to drift apart, and it's not just the friends of high school. It seems to me that this cycle repeats every so often, like every few years or so. And I think right now I'm kind of going through that cycle where I think my older friends are starting to dwindle out of my life. Maybe I am wrong. I don't know yet. But that's just how I've been feeling, or that's the emotion that I wanted to portray in the poem. Maybe I don't feel that right now per se, because I'm a crazy I'm a crazy neurotic mess. I think many different feelings all the time. But I'm sure I'm not the only one though. But anyway, the cycles that we go through, sometimes we take too much stock into it, and I think we try and analyze it as a reflection of what our lives are turning into, or how we as people are turning into. And I think that's just the cycle of life. That's what seems to happen, because I was reflecting too much on it, and I was taking too much stock into the people that I've lost or am losing and the people that I'm gaining, almost as if maybe I was the one who was changing. But I don't really think anyone has changed, and I don't think a lot of people have that. Maybe some people do, but I think a lot of people just go through that in life, where they have certain cycles of friends that they go through, and it almost sounds cold and calculated to say, like, cycles, like we're machines or something. We're definitely not. I mean, some people act like it, but we're definitely not. And it's just, I think I have learned that I have to just let that stuff go and realize that's part of life. There's some things that just happen. You have to deal with them and move on. And I've had a few experiences like that in the last few years of my life. Definitely, I'm pointing in the right direction, because I used to be really bad with this kind of stuff and just take things way too far and just over-dramatize every little instance of my life that seemed to go wrong. And I'm glad that I am maturing over that and not letting those things eat me alive like I used to. And I think that's part of what these pieces are trying to tell. There's also a story to them, because these pieces are a part of a bigger series of poems that I'm going to try and get published as a book. But they also have deep personal meaning in my own thought as well. And that's why I like to read these poems, because I let the feeling out. And I'm not sure if a lot of other people who do read do that, and that's fine. You can read however you want. You can write however you want. But as far as I'm concerned, when I write, I try and get the feelings out that I want to. Now, usually it comes off as anger, but it's not always meant as anger. It's meant as passion, but it comes out as anger. This next piece, though, could be a little bit of anger. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This next piece is called Premature Judgment Can Breed Contempt. And again, like the last poem, I'll explain the meaning behind it. afterwards. For those who can grace a presence, dawning smiles, dying happiness, those who look at me with a sort of pity I never asked for, or eject words of disapproval, ignoring the good, reducing my worth or existence, staring holes through me thinking I'm crazy. I'm happier than you'll ever know. Even if I'm not, maybe you should try asking what's wrong first before you judge me and label me. Yeah, I'm fucking crazy, but you don't know why. And if you've judged me prematurely, you have no right to know why. All I'll tell you is there's a soft and warm core to the jagged, sometimes cold exterior. That one is to all the fellow people I have met in life who have told me that I look like I'm pissed off all the time and tell me to always smile. Fuck you. You don't know who I am. And I don't mean that to everybody who said it. I'm sure there's some people who they meant good by it, but you know what? Just come and ask me what's wrong if you think there's something wrong with me. And that's what I mean to say to anybody out there. Just, I understand judgment is a way of life. People prematurely judge. I've done it before. I'm certainly guilty of that. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here. But for stupid things as, somebody doesn't smile all the time, or somebody wears weird clothes, or somebody, the biggest thing with that, which is something I want to comment on, which goes into what I hope to incorporate in this show more often, too. I'm not just going to be reading my poems, but also about society as a whole I have opinions about. And as far as premature judgment goes, the worst thing that I really can't stand, well, one of the worst things, and I am a hypocrite as far as this goes, I think in a way, but I'm talking about homophobia. And I have used homophobic slurs in the past. I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. And I've tried to cut down on it. I really have, because it's not really a word that should be said. I mean, I know some people maybe don't care. Maybe even some gay people don't care. But as far as premature judgment goes, it kind of correlates back to my ultimate point of this poem. I will never understand homophobia, racism, any of that stuff. If you're going to judge just by the gender of the person that they want to have a relationship with, the fact that it's the same gender, or the fact of the color of their skin, or the fact of the clothes that they wear, or the facial expressions they give, you're just really being not just absent-minded, but also closed-minded, and it's really sad that in 2014 we still have people like that. Again, I'm not trying to take the high horse here. I certainly have my own things to work on. I certainly have my premature judgments, but I'm working on them. And I see a lot of people who just don't give a fuck, and it's really, as I said, 2014 is really sad that we're like this. It goes all the way up to our high officials in government. Why else is gay marriage not allowed in all 50 states? How the hell are we in 2014 and that is still an issue? Who gives a fuck if they want to have marriage? Now, I don't think they should get special privileges just because they're gay. I understand people have a problem with that. But as far as gay marriage itself, it's ridiculous. Come on, America. I mean, it's not the only thing I have a problem with, but it's just ridiculous and stupid and senseless. I can't believe we're still fighting this. It's ridiculous. And that also goes back to homophobia. I mean, there's still racism in this country. It's ridiculous. And, again, I am partially a hypocrite because if you were to see the jokes that I say in front of my friends and stuff, you'd probably want to kick my ass. But there's a time and a place to say everything, and I know when not to say something. And I also think that does show, because there are things that people say and they don't mean, and then there's things that people say and they do mean. And the people who say stuff and mean it, I don't really have much to say to you people because I don't get it. I just don't get it. But anyway, that was the bottom line of this poem. It started as a judgment of what certain people have made out of me, but I would think that it could mean, you know, you could take it as anything. Maybe not this poem specifically, but the messages it's trying to send. You could take it out to mean many other different things and in many other different situations in life. So that's what I have to say about that. And unfortunately, time is running out on this show. It feels like I just started it a minute ago. For anyone who was listening, thank you all, or who will listen, thank you all. I appreciate it. My episode will be up on Blog Talk Radio in the archives, so people will be able to listen to it. And trust me, this was my first episode. Think of this as almost like a pilot episode of a TV show. Trust me, it will get better. I'll have even more interesting things to tell and explain with people. Hopefully I can get some callers in someday or next time, and we can definitely make this an even better discussion and listening experience. Again, I would like to thank everybody for listening today. We will fade out with more Frederic Chopin. Thank you all. Have a good day.